evening and welcome to Mass United Insurance's Line Online. I'm your host, Andrew Seeley. What a week in West Indies cricket. For all you viewers on Scene TV and Digital Sports Max, we're going to be talking about West Indies cricket, the ups, the downs, the all-arounds. With me in the studio, regional commentator Philip Hackett and former ICC Development Officer Wendell Coppin. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Andrew.
Good evening.
And Philip, certainly the drama continues in West Indies cricket. I don't believe that there could be a better soap opera than West Indies cricket at the moment.
Maybe it should be marketed in that sense. But to be serious, yes, it's very unfortunate because, drama not always the sort of drama that we would want. But that's the stage that we are at right now. And as the former West Indies captain, Clive Lloyd, said, we are at the bottom. We have been for quite a while and significantly with the same, the same players basically. So he seems to be, I wouldn't say on a campaign, but seems to be aware that some changes need to be made. And that in itself now has been the source of the latest drama.
Well, certainly, Wendell, the latest drama, no Bravo, no Pollard, it's the World Cup. And we've had prime ministers, we've had ministers of national security, even though it's a sports matter as far as we're concerned. They're all saying that no Bravo, no Pollard. In fact, Ralph Torrance suggesting no West Indies team. Your thoughts on the exclusion of Bravo and Pollard from the Windies World Cup team?
I think it's a brave step by the chairman of selectors, but we know that he has a history of making such decisions. Whilst he was captain of the West Indies team, he made decisions to take and to abandon tours or to take the team to Carripacker and so on. So we know that he has the capacity to make the bold and sometimes unpopular decisions. Whether it's the right decision at this point in time, I'm not sure. For me, the saga with Bravo and Pollard is there anyone who is better than them at the job that they currently do? And that may very well be difficult to identify the players that can replicate what Pollard and Bravo does. Their record may not necessarily, the numbers certainly will not support.
But they don't add up.
Right, the numbers will not necessarily support on an international scale, but from a West Indian perspective, you'll have to carefully examine where do the numbers hold within the current status of West Indies teams.
But Philip suggests that we are at the bottom, as the chairman of selectors has said. And we have been, Philip, at the bottom for too many years to remember now. Mm-hmm. So it's perhaps succinct that at this stage we make the change.
I would think so. I mean, the players who are in the West Indies team, both for the South Africa series and for the World Cup, these are players who I believe have all done reasonably well at the regional level. And therefore, if they have done enough at the regional level to attract the attention of the selectors, then I don't think it's worthwhile questioning if they're better than the ones who've been failing. If you've like these players, Pollard and the likes of Pollard and the others would have had the opportunity to play for West Indies, and if the numbers at the end of the day are not adding up, then I see nothing wrong with trying someone else. And if you look at Pollard, his one-day national average is somewhere around 23, somewhere in that region, and the amount of chances he has been given, that really doesn't add up. I see nothing wrong with somebody else getting the opportunity, whether it be a Jason Holder, Carlos Braffett, whoever you choose from around the region. That's why we are having these regional competitions. And every year in the regional competitions, there are a number of players who say to the selector, well, look, maybe I'm worth considering. And I see nothing right. To me, it's much ado about nothing.
Wendell, it's a major tournament. Mm-hmm. And while I believe we can hear and accept Philip's argument, it's a major tournament. It's only played every 4 years. You're expected to put out your best players. Should it be a tournament where we're looking to go forward for the future as opposed to attempting to win the tournament?
I think we've got to start somewhere. For me, this may very well be the catalyst for development over a long-term period. And I've always said for years that we don't necessarily use the World Cups in the right way, either to mold the future and or look to win it by an established team that has been developed over time. A development program and a development thrust needs to be put in place whereby we identify the next group of athletes that are going to take us to a World Cup. All Olympic athletes train 8 years prior to the World Cup, to the Olympics that they're competing in.
That they're expected to medal.
And they're expected to medal in. And the same way we ought to be doing a similar process with our West Indies team So it may be that the 2023 World Cup is the one that we are targeting to win. If that's the case, now we have to put something in place to look to win that. So this might now well be the case where we're now starting from this World Cup. Again, if you look back, what have we done in the last 4 years to say that we have built a team to win the World Cup? We can't say that we've done anything, Andrew.
No, well, we certainly can. And Philip, that's perhaps a good takeoff point. 2023 sounds so far away, but I think Wendell, as a development man, he's worked throughout the ICC countries, developing cricketers. But is 2023 that far away?
I agree totally with Wendell. I remember going to Hungary several years ago in the late 90s to do a table tennis training course at the international level. And that was the sort of thinking that was presented to us. It seems strange at first, but there's nothing strange about it. In fact, Wendell may even be very mild in what he's talking about. You really got to plan well ahead. Having said that, though, I believe that there are factors that will contribute to having your best team outside of the skill. And therefore, if you look at the skill level of West Indies players around the region, apart from a Chris Gale and the four-day version of Shivnarine Chanderpaul, Marlon Sams is in excellent form. Kemar Roach is pacey when he's fit. Apart from a couple of players, we've got Narain. It's 6 of one and a half dozen in next. So let's be honest about it. That's the skill aspect of it. But that's only one side of it. And if you have guys who are clearly not putting West Indies cricket and what is in the best interest of West Indies cricket first, they may say that. But then if you're looking at other things, it's clear you're not putting West Indies cricket first. And that must impede the ability to succeed at that level. So I see nothing wrong with the West Indies trying to look towards a group of players who, and try to mold a group of players and try to get them in that frame of mind, that thinking that West Indies cricket, like Blood has said it, you've got to put West Indies cricket first. It may be unfortunate that process is starting just before World Cup, but when the next World Cup comes around and things work according to plan, you will have a pool of players whose skill level hopefully would be where it should be, who would be mature enough as you would want them to be, and who would have had the experience of a World Cup behind them.
Philip Hackett, Ralph Thorne QC, the attorney at law for the players, suggests it is pure victimization and nothing else. Your thoughts?
If I... as an attorney, okay, if I'm hired by players to represent them, I would try my best to represent them as well. I really can't find any cricketing logic in, that argument and the whole talk about, I understand there's some talk about court and that type of thing. I really don't see the cricketing sense in it. Victimization, if it's victimization, why is Sammy playing? Rammed in, the number of the players. Sammings was also part of that, although in the end he distanced himself from it to some extent, but he was on that plane coming home with everybody else. I don't know if victimization is the correct word. I think by what happened in India, some players would have shown that they are not putting West Indies cricket first, and you've got to put West Indies cricket first. Now, you have a player like Jason Holder, a junior player in that squad. I can imagine the torment he would have gone through under the influence of more senior players in that whole fiasco. So therefore, it could be then that, you've got to look at the more senior players and hold them more responsible for what actually happened. And if they're saying by their actions, West Indies cricket really is not first in my life, what is first in my life is my bank account, then I don't know if you call that victimization. I think you've got to get players out there for focus on the task of getting West Indies cricket where it should be. And if that's not first, then I'm very sorry. You were not going to be first either.
Wendell, he said a whole lot, but he hasn't answered my question. Your thoughts on what has been suggested in many quarters about victimization.
I don't know how you can. I don't know. I'm not a legal in any way minded person, so I wouldn't know the legal avenues that QC Thorne is indicating that he can go down. What I can say is that there's no guarantee of selection for any player, whether he's the highest number of runs, the highest number of wickets. There's no blueprint that says you have to be selected. What I would like the West Indies Cricket Board to do is to start with a blueprint now and to say, that based on a number of factors, so based on your performance, based on Philip's argument, based on your ability to have West Indies cricket first, based on the numbers from your runs and or wickets in regional tournaments, based on your contracts overseas, and we take those into consideration, whether or not that you merit a contract overseas, whether or not you don't. Have a number of topics that we can say these are now the pillars under which you are going to be selected, so that you and I, Andrew, are at no loss to why a player is selected or not selected. At the moment, as a result of that, we will have the type of allegations that are made, that it is victimization or non-victimization, based on the fact that we don't have any pillars to say a player is being selected based on X, Y, and Z.
Thank you very much, Wendell Coppin. You're watching Massey United Insurance's Line of Life. When we come back, the task force has made some recommendations and WICB says they are accepting them. We'll hear all about the recommendations when we come back.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
And welcome back to Massey United Insurance's Line of Life, and we're going to be talking now about the recommendations which the task force has made, and WICB has indicated 5 bullet points which I'll go through. First one, the WICB will plan a team building activity in the first week of April prior to the start of the English Tour of the Caribbean. This activity will be geared towards building greater understanding and trust among the players, the board of directors, and the WICB management. The team manager is the designated head of the West Indies team delegation, and he shall report to the CEO of the board. The players will be issued with match tour contracts at least 3 weeks prior to departure for start of a series. The WICB will pursue engaging the services of a sports psychologist for the West Indies senior team. The board will also pursue engaging the services of a mental skills coach at the developmental levels, and the WICB will develop a player's handbook which should be issued to all players. The handbook will outline responsibilities, expectations, protocols, standards, and matters of general conduct. Philip?
Well, it sounds all pretty much like what you would expect in a...
Should exist already.
Not only should exist already, but probably exists already in most secondary schools in the sporting programs. Nothing shocking. The only thing shocking to me is that these things are already not in place. I mean, who else would be in charge of a delegation but the manager? Why would you issue tour match contracts anything under 3 weeks before tour?
Or not issue. Or not issue.
These are fairly basic things that should have been in place long ago.
But this is the essence of the release from the board.
Andrew, I just the surprise there, as I said, is that one would be even bold enough to release that as a plan going forward to really improve things, because it would suggest that it must have been total chaos before. And in terms of the team building exercise, well, the last one we heard about took place at the
Miami.
Was it at the, where do you call it?
Disney World. Yeah. And that was less than 2 years ago.
Yeah. So really, not a whole lot there to comment on as far as I'm concerned.
Wendell, what it suggests, therefore, that when the task force initially suggested that there was blame on all sides, that there definitely was blame on all sides. Yeah. If these recommendations are not being accepted.
And again, Andrew, it goes to show that we are so far behind, because as Philip said, these are things that are expected. Now all of the international teams, every single one, bar the West Indies, has a performance enhancing officer to work with the psychological factors of each one of the players off the field, because players will go through lulls away from home for periods of time. They're on their own, they're not making runs or they're not getting wickets, and there are a number of issues. And the performance enhancing officer, that is his role or her role, to ensure that the player continues to perform at peak level. Now, West Indies team is the only one that has a contingent of 4 or 5 officers that travel, whereby you look at a team like England that has 17 backroom staff.
And you're not suggesting we need 17.
I'm not saying 17. I'm not saying 17.
More backroom than players.
But certainly, if you are talking about the professional sports, and all professional sportsmen have a number of persons who assist them with their on-field role. We are the only ones in the world who seem to think that you could allow our players to just go on the field, continue to play and underperform, but not assist them off the field. And that is sad.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you've picked up one particular aspect. Well, Wendell, the one that troubles me the most is that, even apart from what Philip suggested, the players will be issued with contracts at least 3 weeks prior to departure. And I think this is the one that is held on to mostly by those who attempt to attack the board at every level.
Yeah, because again, it comes down to the dollars and cents. This is where the players are most concerned with the contracts and what's in the contract and how much is in the contract. So as a result of that, it's important that the contracts are issued way in advance. Why, as Philip said, why would we have a system where you know that a tour is planned, future tours program is planned over every 4 years? So we know that the England tour is coming up. We don't necessarily know of all the sponsors and all the sponsorship details, but we know that there will be sponsorship. What we've got to do is we can have provisional contracts. We don't necessarily have to put the dollars and cents in, but the provisional contracts that are reviewed 30, 60 days before a tour, then when it comes down to the tour, if it's 21, then I don't think it certainly shouldn't be less than 30 days before the tour, where I'm concerned. 30, I even still think that 21 days before tour is way too short.
Sure.
It should be 30 days prior to a tour that all of the parties are aware of every eventuality within the parameters of that tour.
Certainly, Philip, I know you want to say something.
Yeah, I think really what we are suffering now is the result of focusing too much on one thing. Over the years, before the glory days, cricket was about the 11 fellas on the field. But then cricket became more professional, and it's at the point where, as Wendell pointed out, England, for example, has got 17 in the backroom staff. It may seem like a lot, but not necessarily so. It seems like a lot to us because we are still fixated in the belief that the future of the sport lies almost exclusively with the 11 fellas on the field and maybe the 4 or 5 in the dressing room supporting. It's going way past that. You put 11 guys out there in that field without the proper preparation, they're not going to get the job done. And we've been not getting the job done for about 15 years now, close to 20. That's because we still have what I call a superstar mentality. And this is why people would reject, this is one of the reasons why people would reject a Jason Holder. It is exclusively the reason why Darren Sammy was rejected as a captain, because we have this star mentality. We don't have the ability to see that it takes a team, to achieve the goals that you want. And that team goes beyond the 15 players in the squad. It includes the manager, the coach, the enhancement officers, a number of people. If it has to be 17, it has to be 17. Where are you going to get the funds from? Well, if you don't treat your players as though they are God's gift to the human race, you may very well have the funds to then get the support system in place. People talk about the life of a cricketer is 10 years and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. Ask Shivnarine Chandapal what the life of a cricketer who works at his game, who sees himself as a professional, who does the things every day that he needs to do. Ask him the duration of the life of a cricketer.
Philip Hackett, good thoughts. I want to go back now, though, to Jason Holder. Have we put too much pressure on a young 23-year-old who does not have a guaranteed spot or did not have a guaranteed spot in a West Indian team at any level to captain a West Indies team on a tour of South Africa, followed by the World Cup, the prestigious World Cup?
Well, you accused me of not answering the question last time. So if I'm going to answer the question directly this time, I would have to say no. We've not done that. And I can say that very easily. You talked about a guaranteed position. If we're talking about West Indies cricket, I can think of, and we're selecting a team based on cricket, I can think of about 3, maybe 4 if I stretch it, guaranteed positions. Chandapal, Gale, Samuel's on current form. You can probably throw in a Narain or a Kemar Roach if you want it. Okay, if you're dealing with limited over cricket, this is what we're talking about, then of course Chandler Paul at this point in time wouldn't necessarily be in that. So therefore it means that your captain then should be Gill, Roach, Samuels, or Narine. If I've forgotten one or two people, I don't think it could be a really major mishap.
No.
So therefore, to my mind, whether you're guaranteed a place or not, and nobody really should be guaranteed anything, if you're guaranteed a place or not, cannot be the sole reason for selecting a captain. So therefore, I would have to say, if that is the main reason why Jason Holder should not be captain, I really can't identify with that.
Wendell, your thoughts on what we have done, in my estimation, to Jason Holder at this juncture of his career?
I don't have a problem with the choice of Jason as captain at this point going forward. My concern, and my major concern, will be what effect will it have on Jason personally if inevitably when we lose, because I don't see the team winning the World Cup. I must say, I mean, I don't see them.
I think there's 6 million people in the Caribbean who agree.
Who agree, and perhaps 40 million
elsewhere.
But I don't see the West Indies team having the foundation for winning the World Cup, and also for winning the series in South Africa. So how significantly will he be affected personally? And Philip talked about his skills. I'm not. This is not about his skill set. What I'm talking about is his ability to cope off the field with the pressures of not being able to produce on the field. How significantly will that affect him as a person? Hence, immediately after this tour and the World Cup.
That's Wendell Coppin once again, leaving us on a divine note, if one can call it that. When we come back, the Nagico Super 50 has started in Trinidad and Tobago, albeit in between some rain. We're going to take a look at that. And also, one Brett Lee has finally called it quits. He quit Test cricket 2 years ago. Now he's called it quits at age 38. When we come back on Massey United Insurance's Line and Length.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
And welcome back to Massey United Insurance's Line and Length. The Nagico Super 50 is on its way in Trinidad and Tobago, but the rain is also in Trinidad and Tobago. Philip, the Barbados Pride, as they're now styled, are the defending champions. Your thoughts on the Barbados Pride team without Ben and Braffett and Holder? Can we still retain the trophy? And of course, Dwayne Smith.
Well, it provides opportunities for others, and I really am not too concerned about that. In fact, it was really Craig Braffett last year, if you remember, who played a number of significant innings, because like the West Indies team itself and the character of West Indies cricket, batting 50 overs is not always an easy task. So
you mean 30 overs too many?
In fact, on recent evidence, I think we struggled even the other day to bat
19. We batted 19. Yeah.
So but to be serious, I think it provides an opportunity for other players. I don't think it's something we should be too concerned about. I think what you've got to look at is even the bigger picture. Yes, you're looking to defend the championship, but each and every one of the countries playing, they've got to recognize that the World Cup is around the corner, and after World Cup events, you tend to see teams rebuilding. But apparently, our rebuilding process has already started. But I would think that the selectors would also be looking for new talent moving forward, and maybe some of the more experienced players would be hoping that they would be recycled into the process as well. So I think there's a lot to gain for Barbados, for the Barbados players, but also for the other countries as well.
Wendell, of course, Trinidad and Tobago considerably reinforced for this Nagico Super 50. The likes of Ram Paul, Bravo, Pollard, Sunil Narain, obviously the team to beat. Your thoughts?
And also playing in Trinidad. I'm playing at home, and more so playing on the drier surfaces at home, with Barbados being stationed in Couva, which is historically a wet county. And whether or not how many games that the Barbados team will get in and how significantly they will be affected, based on the amount of play that they do get there, how will that hamper their progress and also their ability to retain the championship. But Trinidad will also have something to prove. Those players that you talk about are players who are home. Ultimately, they'll want to show the selectors that they can still mix it amongst the local players, and they're still part of the best setup and best squads within the region. So I would expect that Trinidad will go close to the championship. But as Philip said, what I'm looking for, and again, I put back on my development hat, because I'm constantly looking at how can each player benefit from the opportunity, and not only that, but grab that opportunity. What has disappointed me over the last few years is that the amount of opportunity that our players have had and not champing at the bit to grab that opportunity has disappointed me significantly. So I would hope that, and not just Barbados, I wasn't speaking just for Barbados, but I would like to believe that across the region, that all the players the young players especially, who are given the opportunity due to the fact that the West Indies team is out on international duty, will see it as an opportunity for them to showcase their talents, and we can start to see scores, runs and wickets and so on, and the type of cricket that is expected at the international level.
Well, certainly, I think we all hope for that. Philip, a quick word on Brett Lee. He's finally retired, regarded as one of the fastest bowlers of his time. Yes,
I would think at age 38, not particularly surprising. Probably only stayed around as long as he did because of the T20 format. Prior to that, I think Brett Lee, given his concerns with injury and so on, would have been off the scene even before. So I think we're blessed that we would have had him on the scene, that the younger fast bowlers, could learn something from him for as long as we did.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I think we've had a great discussion. Recommendations, bravo, Pollard. We've done the gambit, even though we don't have any legal representation here. Thank you very much. Thank you to Philip Hackett, regional cricket commentator and newspaper columnist as well, and Wendell Coppin, former development officer of the ICC. I'm Andrew Seeley, your host, and this has been Massey United Insurance Design and Line. Join us next week for more.